backing up your projects. Something you never realize how important it is until it's too late. Hopefully you guys aren't like me and you don't have a horror story about how you forgot to back up your project and something went wrong, a drive got corrupted, and you lost everything. Now, unfortunately for me, this did happen a couple years ago, and I lost all my projects. I was saving basically everything onto one drive. No matter what I did, I couldn't get the stuff back, and basically what I ended up having to do was send my drive into a data recovery place and have them take the whole drive apart. I think it ended up costing me over $1,000. Even after paying all that money, I still wasn't able to recover everything. I was only able to recover a small portion of the stuff that I actually had on the drive. Here's a couple tips that I have learned from this whole process of how to make sure that everything is being consistently backed up so that this will never happen to you. Always make sure you have a backup drive. I know they're expensive. It's a hassle to copy everything onto 2 drives, but in a worst case scenario, it will absolutely save you. Whenever you're dumping footage, you want to have them both plugged in and have the same file structure for both of them and just immediately transfer the footage straight from your SD card or CF Express card, whatever you're using, straight onto at least 2 drives. That way, if something happens with one drive, it gets corrupted, or even if there's a problem with the transferring process, at least you have it already backed up onto another drive that you can use. Tip number 2, always be up to date on your backups. That's why in the previous tip I said just transfer all your footage at once. Generally, if you're working on a project for a client, it's going to be the project that you're currently working on. So you want to make sure that you have everything backed up in real time so that you don't lose it. Tip number 3, always keep your drives in a safe location. Lots of drives will come with some sort of a little carrying case. Even if you don't have one, I would suggest buying one. If you have a drive that costs a couple $100, then $10 to buy a carrying case is definitely worth the investment. And what this will do is it, 1, adds a little bit more protection to the drive if it's a padded case, and then 2, also keeps things like dust and dirt and stuff from getting into your hard drive. Make sure you keep it in a safe location. I've never had any problems with this, but I know drives do have temperature limits, so I'd be careful about keeping your hard drive in a locked car if it's 100 degrees outside. But to be fair, I haven't had any problems with that, just a recommendation. Another tip is to buy SSD drives instead of HDD. This is really kind of depending on what kind of a budget you have. SSD drives are going to be more expensive. It's probably going to run you a couple $100 for the same amount of space, but they're a lot more reliable. HDD drives are going to be about half the price of SSD ones. They've got moving components inside that are what write the footage onto the drive. And if you get dust or dirt or something inside the drive, or it gets knocked around a lot, what happens is this disk inside can get thrown slightly out of alignment, and then that can end up corrupting the drive. But with SSD drives, everything is just digitally transferred onto a memory chip. They're faster, they're quieter, they're more reliable. So if you have the budget, I would highly recommend using SSD drives. For smaller stuff where you don't want to break the bank, you can use an HDD, but just make sure that you're constantly backing it up to multiple drives. Those are my 4 tips on how to back up your footage so that you can avoid a worst case scenario like me, where you end up losing it all. As a creative, our videos, photographies, if you're a musician, all of your music files is extremely important. You put a lot of hard time and effort into creating those. You want to have a consistent record of those so you can go back and pull old projects and also have access to current ones. And with that, you can have some peace of mind that all of your projects are going to be backed up and safe if you ever need to access them. Thanks for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, I appreciate you clicking on it and taking the time to watch it through. If you're one of my existing subscribers, I'm going to be staying up to date with these tutorials, posting one every week that just give a little bit of insight into what I've learned over the past 8+ years of working as a creative. I want to transfer some of this knowledge to you guys and hopefully teach you a few skills and avoid some of the mistakes that I made in the process. Thanks again. See you next week.